3, 2, 1, and we are recording. Hi guys, it's Rob Ringy here. Hope you're doing very well. It's a sunny day here for once in Bath in England, the first time in about 10 days, which is lovely. Today I've got a very special guest. This is Gemma. Say hello, Gemma. How are you doing?
Hello.
Okay. How are you today?
I'm very good, thank you.
You're looking well, looking well. So could you please explain to people your exact job title and what it is you get up to at work?
Yeah, I work in an inpatient mental health unit for children of 8 to 18 years old. I work with the children who have special educational needs, but our hospital has children of all needs and abilities in it.
Okay, right. What do you see? What do you think the biggest problem is that's underlying the problems you see?
Oh, that's a complicated question. I suppose it's different with the different age groups of children, really. I mean, with the older children who are like GCSE age, it's all the stress and strain of exams and GCSEs and things, and a lot of it's to do with control and things like that. With the younger children, you get a lot more like obsessive compulsive and anxiety based things, some quite often behavior based things. With the special needs children, a lot of the time it's their inability to communicate their needs, so therefore their needs aren't being met properly.
Right. Okay. My latest job was working with this kid who's about 6 or 7.
Yeah.
He's considered so sort of disturbed and a high risk. He's now in a school that only has 4 students and about 8 teachers. Like he was spitting in people's faces, like slapping them, headbutting them, stuff like that.
Yeah.
He never actually attacked me, and I put it down to my non-judgmental nature, but maybe it's because all the others were women. I don't know. But do you think with it? I'm sure you've seen yourself. If it doesn't sound too vulgar to say extreme cases where other children aren't safe around them, and even the adults aren't safe around them as they grow older. Do you think the right thing for a child like that is a school with like a very small school with 4 students in and adults supervising, or is that sort of limiting and enabling their condition, and there should be a way to reintegrate them, no matter how impossible it seems?
Well, yeah, I've just met a young person that was in a very similar situation. I think some people's needs are that complex that they need that kind of work. So the young person that I was working with very briefly, he's going to have his own individual flat with a team of, well, by the time you work out the shifts and that, he's going to have probably about a team of 10 people working around him, and his school will have to come to him and things. He cannot be safe around others. He cannot be safe around himself. And like his behavior was showing us that when we were working with him. So you'd hope that one day he might, be better and more able to integrate back into society again. But yeah, I think that can happen.
Do you think with a child like the one you were describing or the one I was describing, it's possible to transform their character so they can integrate into regular society, or it goes too deep genetically, behaviorally, copied the parents from day one, in all kinds of dysfunctional behavior, and this kid I was with used to sit there and just pulling his rotten teeth out and stuff. And then I saw his dad, and his dad seemed nice and sweet and gave him a hug and stuff. And I saw his teeth, and they were like grey. It was. How much do you think is changeable?
Well, I think a lot of the time it is so complex. I mean, this young person, he had come from a family that was, it was a not very supportive family. There'd been lots of abuse and things in the family. I think it was that ingrained. He also had learning difficulties as well, so he was struggling to understand things. When I worked with his psychologist, this young person was so difficult to understand. Yeah. I don't know how you would ever be able to help him, become and live as normal a life as we're used to living. Definitely not.
What sort of things? What sort of behaviour was he showing that made him so unmanageable?
Attacking other people and things. They do things like, sometimes they do things like they'll wipe their own excrement over their faces and things like that. It's all behaviours to try and move people away from them and things. Very confused. Lots of like scripting things in their own head and things. So yeah,
It sounds like me so far. I hope you're not describing me inadvertently, deliberately.
definitely not you, Rob. Definitely not you.
Okay.
You don't stick me with pens and things, so we're all right.
Yeah. But over Skype, it's impossible to start any physical violence, so I feel safe for that reason. So what, if you don't mind, what do you find the biggest challenge of your job mentally?
Mentally, well, it's being able to shut off when you get home, definitely. Sometimes, because I'm that worried about trying to sort situations out for our young people, and a lot of the time you're working against a system that's, impossible to negotiate, because you've got a young person, they're not poorly anymore, they need to go back into the community, but the community's not got themselves together in order to sort something out for them. The parents are saying they don't want them home and things, and it's quite disturbing, quite upsetting really at times. So we end up with children.
When you say community, do you mean like the services put in place to help kids, or just the breakdown of
the services
or the breakdown of human one-on-one interaction? Like we're now talking, but we're both talking to a small device. It's a strange world. Do you have any thoughts on that?
The use of technology and things.
Sorry, I should have. And let me recapitulate it to make it sound like the first time I asked you. Do you think it's more the breakdown in community services that are out there, or the breakdown of human community in general because of technology?
Possibly both of them. I mean, the children with the more complex needs.
It's always A or B. It's always A or B. It's never nuanced. It's never both. God, go on. You might as well carry on. Go on.
Yeah. Well, the services, the communication between services, the difference between health and the difference between the social services and the difference between the educational stuff and that. They're meant to be working in a joint up way, but they don't necessarily. But don't even get me started on the technology thing. That's a completely different topic altogether.
Well, when it's related to mental health in young people, it isn't. Like I'd ask my students, I've had thousands in the past, mainly teaching music, and very often the answer to what did you do this weekend, especially with the boys, was I played Call of Duty for like 7 hours. or they say I hung out with Josiah and Dave and Terry, not Terry in East London, but you know what I mean. And then you think, where did you go? The park or football? They're like, oh no, we just played Fortnite for 7 hours online with each other. And that's, especially with boys, probably especially with lazy people who are inclined less towards being industrious. The collapse into technology and lazy parenting and just giving a kid an iPad or a laptop for all day just to shut them up. That's what I mean by the impact of technology on young people and their mental health. Regardless where they are on the spectrum. Did you have any thoughts on that? Because you said it's a whole different subject altogether. But I think that implies you have some thoughts on it, and I don't think it is a different subject.
Well, the use of technology. I mean, technology is an amazing thing, and put to its to its right uses is amazing. You can tap into people the other side of the world. You can find out whatever information you want. You can book whatever tickets you want. Yesterday we spent the entire morning spent out a lot of business, and I didn't move from this spot here. And before I would have had to have been up and down, going to all sorts of like estate agents and ringing up loads of people, getting loads of particulars and stuff. Instead, I sat here in my lounge. So young people can reach their friends easy, especially ones that don't live near them. But the other thing is they're missing out on that one-to-one interaction and doing real things. Like I used to go into town, meet my friends, go to the cinema, go bowling, just hang out, go on bikes, go play block. Kids don't do that anymore.
There's that line by the Walkmen, the band. I think they're they had one brilliant song that just cast too much of a shadow on the rest of the song. It's called The Rap, and it had a line that goes, when I used to go out, I'd know everyone I saw. Now I go out alone, if I go out at all. It reminded, what you said reminded me of that. You are right, but that's the trapdoor as well, isn't it? The comfort and the ease. Like you don't have to leave your room, and that makes in the short term it's more tempting, and I fall for it all the time, to do the lazier thing or do the more idle thing. But you strengthen yourself by going out and engaging with the world and having to go to the estate agent or having to go to the lawyer, or maybe they're just trivial examples, but there's too much of a cushioning, do you think? And that's like Jonathan Haidt's work in America about, but basically studied it in depth, wrote a book about it called The Coddling of the American Mind. He said social media and non-supervised play, a lack of non-supervised play, are the two reasons why there's like 3.5 increase in girls non-fatal self-mutilation into A&E hospitals, and boys, young men committing suicide. Have you heard of him, Jonathan Haidt, or what do you think of those?
I haven't, no.
Or was it? Okay. Do you have any reflections on what I just said?
Well, oh, it keeps cutting out. I've lost my train of thought now.
Jonathan Haidt basically said social media and a lack of non-supervised play. So kids are being overprotected. That's why I called it the coddling of the American mind. Kids are being overprotected. In America, and it's making them much more weak and therefore much more vulnerable to trauma and more likely to act irrationally in the world and feel much more anxiety because they weren't toughened up. Like pressure makes diamonds. And he's saying we have such a level of comfort now. Was it Schopenhauer even predicted it? He said there'll come a point where we're so comfortable we'll want to fuck it up just to so something exciting will happen. That's what I was getting at.
That might link into a lot. We get a lot of children who have a lot of anxiety-based problems, and quite often, you'd meet the parents. They're very good parents, but they're very controlling. Some of them have like these really strict itineraries, and you look at them, you think, Jesus Christ, that would make me anxious, having to worry about sticking to that agenda all the time and things.
Yeah, it really hammers home for me. It's obvious anyway, but when you're teaching, you see it literally when the parents are waiting at the gate, just how much the kid is a clone of the parent. And it's sobering to reflect on your own circumstance in the same light. Like there was a kid, he was about 5 at one of the schools I was at, who said, I wasn't there when he said it, but he said, oh, I don't like black people. And he could have only got that from his bigoted mum or dad, do you know what I mean? Or maybe uncle or something like that. But I guess this goes back to what I was saying earlier. Do you think genuine transformation is possible in kids who are say 5 out of 10, 6 out of 10 on the disturbed scale? Do you think genuine transformation is possible, or do you think it goes too deep and they're stuck with it?
Well, I think there is. You've got to, you've always got to try and help guide that young person and give them the skills. I mean, a big word in education at the moment, huge, are obsessed with it at the moment, is resilience. So like schools are teaching a subject called resilience. So our school's big on it as well. So teaching children to be able to be, because we have lots of children and they're very sensitive to a lot of things, and we are very careful about what we teach, because obviously a lot of them have had upsets about things. I mean, it took me ages to choose a book the other day to read with my kids next term, because I didn't want to upset a young person that had experienced domestic violence and stuff. So I picked up a book, Charlotte's Web. I loved that book as a child. First chapter, Dad walks into the shed with a shotgun. Okay, I'm not going to read that book to that child because I'm a little bit worried about the domestic violence she's experienced. But then again, you might say, well, you need to teach her to be resilient. So
I talk about a trigger warning. Yeah, I think you are right to dodge that one. I think that's just insightful on your part. You wouldn't. you wouldn't trigger that child to such an extreme extent by doing that.
That is such an innocent book. Is a book that, as a child, both young girls my age probably read.
It's a dark opener for a children's book. Dad walks in with a shotgun.
Yeah, and is going to go and shoot, but she manages to rescue him. But for someone who's experienced trauma, probably not a good idea. So it took me a while to sift through a few books until I found one that was appropriate.
So in Aldous Huxley's book, The Island, this is his last book, Utopia, instead of dystopia, like Brave New World, as you, I'm sure you know, or you may well know, because I know how much you've read. The children, everything is geared towards human flourishing and maximum human health of all kinds. And the children are all given in a temple around the age of 12 or 13, a guided psychedelic experience.
Okay.
With what they call mocha or mocha, it means medicine on the island. And they burn incense, and it's just a good trip. Like the sort of ones they're doing more and more in labs now, like to get people to quit smoking or to come to terms with like fatal illnesses or the rest of it. Psilocybin, magic mushrooms, or LSD. Do you think, without getting too controversial, do you think we should follow the island's example and give them all a psychedelic intervention at the age of 12 or 13?
Probably not. It might disturb them even more. You have no idea how those chemicals are going to react with the chemicals in that person's brain and their particular mindset at the time, so I probably wouldn't.
Okay. Do you think Aldous Huxley was off the mark, or do you think the context in England is just wrong for that?
I don't know. I mean, there are trials and cases and things when substances have been used to help people who are suffering from, I don't know, anxiety or PTSD and stuff. But I'm very much of in a mindset of, although the medication can help and is useful, if you can do as much as you can socially, it's that those kind of interventions that I think are most worth. You can medicate as much as you want, but at the end of the day, you've still got to have the social skills and the social structure around someone. So, like, you know, a lot of our children are on medication, but you also mustn't forget, like, the social side of things as well.
Yes, very true. And when you're depressed, like, the horrible irony is you only want to do things that make it worse, like isolate and stagnate and all that.
Exactly.
What are some of the most effective strategies you've seen, or effective coping mechanisms you've seen for young people with mental health issues, specifically special needs? I should clarify for non-English viewers. Special needs is well, it'll probably be bigoted to say it in 2 years, but it's currently the okay way to describe people with Down syndrome or various disabilities. Special needs is kind of the PC word to cover a wide variety of people. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, we do a lot of teaching of social skills and things like that. Try and do, you know, some more mindful things. It's mainly based around that kind of thing. I mean, I do work as part of a medical team as well, and they are doing the medical interventions as well, but that's got nothing to do with me. I just do the school side of things, and you're making good use and good meaningful use of their time and things, trying to find interests and trying to you know, build up their ability to socialize with others and interact with others and things. So I'm very much on the mindset of the social model rather than like the medical model, but in some instances the medication does help, especially if someone with high anxiety. It does help to bring the anxiety down. Or if people
I could vouch for that, until you try and come off the medication, when the anxiety rebounds like a boomerang in the face. Sorry, I got a bit dark there. Boomerang injury talk. Right, Gemma, I would love to talk to you again one day. Would you be willing to submit yourself to that?
Yes. Well.
Okay. Everyone likes a bit of self-torture now and then. Now, in all seriousness, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. I always find you engaging. You're very eloquent with the way you put things. You've got a certain kind of like force behind you, but it's not like a like a tyrannical or a bullying force. It's like a sort of, you're not going to be stopped kind of force. It's good. Keep it up. Just keep being you. All right, guys. We're going to probably fumble around like 5 seconds. We'll try and stop this recording because we're both new to Skype. But if you like this, then watch chapter 2 when it comes out, because it will be coming out. All right. I'll try and stop. All right. See you later, Gemma.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.